Hey, welcome back to MMA Today. My name is Cash Money, and this is my co-host Mahad. And today we'll be breaking down some MMA news for you guys. First up, news topic we have is Jan Blachowicz versus Joe Rogan. Jan Blachowicz recently came out in a video with MMA Fighting, basically saying that Joe Rogan is unprofessional and that Joe Rogan told him that he lost that fight in the octagon, and it convinced him to actually say that during that. Mahad, you want to give us a little bit more breakdown?
Yeah, so basically, just like what you said, he was calling Joe Rogan unprofessional, and that time right after the fight, he said he was still a little woozy, so he didn't really want to give an answer whether he lost or won the fight because he just didn't know at that moment. He said he watched the fight again over and thought that he was actually winning the fight, and he said that Ankalaev was one leg kick away from actually losing that fight. And he said a lot of people that think that I lost the fight is just because they watched the fifth round and where Ankalaev just dominated Jan Blachowicz. So basically, we're going to talk about if Ankalaev is right in this situation or whether Joe Rogan did nothing wrong. In my opinion, Joe Rogan did nothing wrong. Initially, Jan Blachowicz pointed to Ankalaev right after the decision was made. And he even tried to raise Ankalaev's hand, say that he won the fight. That's when Joe Rogan really questioned whether he wanted to know if Jan Blachowicz was thinking that, what was his feelings towards the fight? Because that's just a weird thing to do. Raise your opponent's hand if it's a draw, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are getting mad at Joe Rogan because he did a follow-up. And what was the follow-up again?
All right, so Joe Rogan, he followed it up after Jan Blachowicz told him that, he doesn't know if he won the fight, he doesn't know if he lost the fight. He's basically saying that he's okay with the draw. Joe Rogan then came up and just questioned him again and said, hey, but the way that I felt is that you thought you lost the fight. And that's where I have a problem with Joe Rogan, is that he actually overstepped his bounds as a reporter, because you really should just be getting their opinions on the fight. We're not really here for your opinions or who you thought won the fight. I think that you kind of pushed a little hard and made Jan Blachowicz feel like, hey, maybe I actually did lose the fight, because in the video he does say that he was just stuck on the fifth round, and coming off an intense fight with a really tough opponent, your headspace is not getting right. You're getting punched in the face. Like, he's in a really weird spot. So I think Joe Rogan's wrong for going in there and actually telling Jan Blachowicz that he thinks that he felt like he lost the fight. So I think Joe Rogan stepped over right there, and that Jan Blachowicz does have a good point that Joe Rogan, you should kind of be neutral in that situation. You shouldn't go at the fighter or question.
So we're not going to blame Jan Blachowicz for trying to raise Ankalaev's hand?
No, I mean, he did try to, and
he's acting like he's
innocent. The thing is,
though.
Originally, yes, he did clap and all that stuff, but when he came back and said, hey, I think you should give Magomed the belt, I think that was because Joe Rogan's reaction to him saying that, he doesn't know. I think Joe Rogan kind of pressed him and made him feel like he lost the fight. And then that's why he went up and said, go ahead and give the belt to Ankalaev. And then you can also see Ankalaev's reaction because of Joe Rogan as well. Because when the decision was announced, Ankalaev was upset, but he was kind of okay. Like, him and Jan did, like, he was smiled for a bit, like when Jan tried to raise his hand or whatever. But then Joe Rogan kind of pressed that issue, and then you can even see Magomed, he was like feeling more emotional as Joe Rogan kept on talking to him. He just was like, where's my belt? Where's my belt? I can't believe this happened. You could see he was really upset.
I think Ankalaev was just trying to be nice to Jan Blachowicz, give him a smile. Like, he knows it's not Jan Blachowicz's fault, but in his true heart, he looked like he thought he won that fight. He got upset. He was mad. So I'm taking that over Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz was like, oh, I really don't know if I lost that fight. If you have to question it to me, it means that you didn't win the fight. It's like Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley questioned it. When I saw Sean O'Malley question that he didn't know whether he won or lost the fight, to me at that moment, I thought he lost the fight. You have a feeling in your heart whether you won that fight or you lost that fight. Even the commentary team at the time were all kind of stunned that it was a draw. He was being timid. Like, he knew that he didn't win the fight. So I don't think Joe Rogan's wrong. I think a lot of people are going to blow this out of proportion.
I mean, the thing is, I could see where you're coming from. Yes, Jan Blachowicz did raise his hand and all those things, but at the end of the day, we have to look at what Joe Rogan's job is. Joe Rogan's job is to interview the fighters after their fight. It's not really to inject your own opinion. It's not really to kind of try to get the fighter to say what you want, because it seems like when Joe Rogan, like, he fishes and he does a good job sometimes of like fishing for answers. I remember when he did that to Alistair Overeem, and when he said that there was a tap, like, he broke it down like, hey, there was no tap. I don't have no problem when he does that. My only issue is when you go in there and you're kind of almost in these type of situations, it's like the fighters. He already made a rule about when DC got knocked out that he doesn't want to ask too many questions and stuff like that. You're going out there, you're kind of stepping over your bounds again, where you're going in and questioning another fighter's own opinion about the fight and kind of almost forcing him to say, "Hey, Ankalaev won the fight, so I'm just gonna give him the belt," because Jan Blachowicz said it himself. He was stuck in the 5th round, so you got to give these people, I guess, enough time to think it out, rewatch the fight, and then come up with their own opinion. I think it was just too fast to kind of get him to put a hard stance on there, because he hears the crowd, he hears everything, and he's just automatically assuming that he lost the fight. And Glover himself came up to Jan Blachowicz and told him it was really close. He said, "I could see you winning." So Glover didn't even have a problem with the decision. And honestly, I don't even have that much big of a problem with that decision. I thought that was a close fight.
You think Joe Rogan's getting too much backlash?
I mean, he's getting some. He didn't get that much, but I'm just saying, Jan Blachowicz has a right to say what he said about Joe Rogan. You know, people give him backlash, that's whatever. But if Jan Blachowicz is saying, "Hey, this is how I feel about Joe Rogan," I mean, that's just his opinion. And I think he has a little bit of a point there, because Joe Rogan, just when he doubled back to Jan, I think that was the problem.
So I have another issue with Jan Blachowicz. At first, he was saying, "I don't know if I won, if I lost that fight, or I can't really say if I won it either." But then he gets
can't do that.
Why did he get mad at Ankalaev for saying that he won that fight?
I think he's saying that he's tired of Ankalaev complaining or whatever, or something like that.
No,
so.
he said he was like being arrogant, saying that he won that fight. The way, I don't know, I guess he was trying to win the fans over or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was, but I would say that they need to run that fight back, and then we'll see exactly what's going on with that.